There is a lot of money coming into the market over the next 20 years because BlackRock is showing us exactly how Wall Street is about to turn on the whole Bitcoin markets. You did hear that number right. It may sound like a number from another world, and that's because it is. This is the biggest figure that anyone has ever been able to control. Nobody has that much money, whether it's a contract or a company. But with the coming of the new financial change, we will be able to talk about quadrillions of dollars for the first time ever. The video today is from Whitney Webb, who will explain what is happening and what you can expect with your XRP H-bar, and other cryptocurrency, which are laying the groundwork for tokenizing real-world assets in the future. Now click like and let's watch the movie. But think about someone like Larry Fink, who has said that markets like totalitarian dictatorships. Yes, it's because there isn't as much danger when the government is totalitarian and dictatorial. That means it's better for people like Larry Fink, who can make money when there's less risk, right? And they know how to buy and sell things and do other things. And a big part of that is because of this interaction with the government. So Larry Fink is one of the key supporters of stakeholder capitalism and all that other stuff. He does it because it makes money for him but hurts freedom. But JP Morgan has done a lot of work on things like deposit coins and tokenized deposits. They're sometimes called and are likely to get, coins made by JP Morgan. An insane amount of money has been done because of all the deals it has watched over or been a part of over the past few years and other things like that. And we'll see. As far as I know, fiat currency is issued by a central bank, so he doesn't mind a lot of the changes that are happening in fintech or in the interests of governments, intelligence agencies, the UN, or other groups that want to see most of the world, if not all of the world. Some form of programmable, surveillable currency. This is basically what the CBDC is, and that's why it's been criticized so much, because it's programmable and surveillable, not because it's issued by a central bank. The problem with CBDC is that it says they can be programmed and watched. Okay, so, maybe the government isn't the one controlling and spying, but is JP Morgan. If so, does it give all that information to the government that they work with all the time? Is it really that much better in real life? I don't think so. On the other hand, as we already said, people like John Reed, who helped build this business, have said that financial surveillance is the best. These are people who want to spy on you and work with the people who help them get to where they are now, and they want to help us get to the kind of end game that they're quickly racing toward. Now we have a better idea of some of the risks that may come with BlackRock being in charge of this new financial world. Now I'd like to talk a little more about what we can expect from some other private companies that are also trying their hand at this market. There is a very clear reason why private companies, public companies, governments, and other big institutions do what they do. These people want to make money, keep an eye on you, and get more power. All of this is important to know, though, so you can figure out what you want for your future, your family, your friends, and everyone else. For this is going to completely alter how we see almost every part of our lives. Let us now hear what Whitney Webb has to say about this, because of this endeavor is kind of like an offshoot of some of these other groups that did similar things. So in our last piece, Debt from Above, we talked about the Club of Rome because it had something to do with debt. We looked at there as part of the Green Plus program to the Club of Rome. It all began with a group called Adela, which stands for American Democratic and Liberal Alliance. The Rockefeller family and many other powerful business people, mostly in Western Europe and North America, backed this group. And their main goal was to improve the business and economic situations in Latin America. Or in the end, they would choose, they would flush out companies that they thought would do well and give them a crazy amount of money based on the country they were in. That means that none of their rivals can really match the amount of money that is being put into these carefully chosen businesses. And so those companies get to the top, and the people who run them become something like local oligarchs. But they owe their increased power and influence to the people who give them money. So let's say that people from the West, like the Rockefeller family, want a certain policy to be put in place in Latin America, or ask for a favor. Will those people say no? It doesn't seem likely, does it? This was done in Latin America a long time ago by strong networks in the West. It's also scary that the people at Adela, along with the Rockefellers and the people who later gave money to the Club of Rome, have been big supporters of things like deindustrializing and depopulating Latin America by making the continent unstable and putting in place all kinds of other issues or policies. Kissinger wrote a paper about national security that said pretty much the same thing, but in the context of a threat to national security. So we need to keep this in mind. At the time, Adela got a lot of good press. For example, Time magazine and other publications talked about how great they were for Latin American companies. So if you look at a group like Endeavor, I'm sure it's a good thing it's framed that way all over South America. But the problem is that the people who created Endeavor, like Rottenberg and Kellner, have ties that are troubling, as we explain in the piece. Also, the people who gave Endeavor millions and millions of dollars to make them what they are now are definitely very disturbing figures. Mostly Pierre Omidyar of eBay and the Bronfman family, who are connected in many ways. Some of these connections have already been mentioned, but there's still a lot more to say about both of them. Also, if you look at a lot of philanthropies, you'll see that a lot of these very controversial billionaires are interested in giving money, young leaders for the world. In the past few years, the outgoing chairman of the WEF, Klaus Schwab, said on video that the Young Global Leader program is great because it lets us get into the cabinets. This is why during COVID, all of these young global leaders were in all of these different cabinets around the world. Because of this, one reason why so many countries may have taken the same position and policies when it came to COVID-19, Endeavor is another network like this one. A lot of the people who worked on it are young, and they're also young world leaders. He is also, when sees as casaras, these people work in both the public and private sectors, and Endeavor works on the private sector in emerging markets. As we've already talked about, there is a big push to make Latin America totally dependent on the US, financially tied to the US, and with us resources. People in power have pretty much said that, though they may have said it in a different way. It's possible that John Bolton, who was Trump's national security advisor and is a very unpopular neocon, said something similar in the past. For example, he might have said that Latin America is basically ours. So people are trying to make that happen. And I would say that Endeavor is a way to build up these business environments in a way that is similar to Adela. Some parts are decentralized to make it look that way, but they share a lot of the same money and relationships. And when those strong people at the top call those entrepreneurs, they can be persuaded. I would argue again that the most important thing here is that the main Endeavor-backed companies, many of them based on Endeavor Argentina, are quickly becoming the most popular places on the continent to do business, use fintech and crypto, and of course use Bitcoin. Especially since people are being forced to use these sites because of what I think is an economic crisis that was planned for decades in places like Argentina. And you chose someone like Malay because he says, I'm going to dollarize, even though he might not be doing that right now. What BlackRock and the government are ready to do to take full control of our lives, many of these institutions are fighting for ideas that you may not agree with. It's more important than ever that we support open source, independent cryptocurrency companies that aren't affected by the same level of corruption as many of these other institutions. I mean, Bitcoin, XRP, and the H-bar are all great structural fixes for what we have now. The way things will stay the same as long as we keep supporting them. Coins aren't the only thing this is. As we talk about our rights in the future, this is a movement. The DeFi apps that are being made on XRP and HBAR will give us the financial freedom to live in a world that makes us happier. It's very important that you hit the like button and subscribe if you agree with that statement. I'll see you in the next movie. Goodbye.